We come back to our deeply touching story of Ivan and his friends. Chapter titled The Promise, we find that same night, Ivan is woken up by Stella and she asks Ivan to promise that he will always take care of Ruby. Now, what does Stella mean by asking Ivan to take care of Ruby? Well, Stella doesn't want Ruby to suffer like she did in a circus. So what she does is she asks Ivan to promise her that he will find a safer place for little Ruby to grow up. Ivan knew very well that this is a very tall promise, or it's a promise that he will find almost impossible to keep. So Ivan himself says that it's easier to promise to stop eating, to stop breathing, or even just to stop being a gorilla. So, it's easier to stop eating, stop breathing, stop being a gorilla than finding a safer place for Ruby. Finding a safer place for Ruby is almost impossible. Yet, wonder of wonders, Ivan does give his word to Stella that night that he is going to do what she wants him to do. You know why he made such an impossible promise? Are you wondering why he did that, knowing fully well he can never fulfill this? It's because that night Ivan realized that this is Stella's last wish. And so he really didn't have the heart to say no to his dear friend Stella. In the next chapter, Knowing, we find that even before anyone else in the circus knows, Mac, Bob, or Ruby, it is Ivan who knows that Stella is no more. Stella is gone forever, children. And Ivan is heartbroken beyond words. You can see him crying on the screen. You just see the way he's crying. At that moment, when he's missing her, he recalls that Stella once told him that elephants are more emotional than gorillas. They feel more joy and even more grief than gorillas do. At that moment, Stella had jokingly teased Ivan that his heart is made of ice. And that's perhaps the reason why his heart is maybe colder than that of other elephants. Today, with his dear close friend Stella gone, Ivan is feeling so much pain that he really wishes he had a heart made of ice so that it was numb and it wouldn't feel the pain that he is feeling at the loss of a dear close friend. In the next chapter, Five Men, we find another instance of cold-blooded human heartlessness. Here, Ivan gets to know that Stella's body was just tossed into a garbage truck to be taken away. Can you believe this, children? For so many years, Mac had tortured Stella to make money. He had wounded her foot, and when she needed the vet, Mac delayed calling the vet only to save money. And now, when Stella is gone, Mac has just tossed her away without any dignity. In the next chapter, Comfort, we find that Ruby, little Ruby, is just distraught with Aunt Stella gone. She is crying. You can see her on the screen. Buckets of tears are pouring down because she's missing her Aunt Stella. And poor Ivan, he struggles to find a way to comfort Ruby. He really can't lie and tell Ruby that Stella had a good and happy life. Because children, Stella did not have a happy life in the circus. So what Ivan does is he tells Ruby that Stella was loved by her friends. And at least that was the truth. The chapter titled Crying tells us a little bit about the kind humans in the story, and they are Julia and George. Children, do you remember that Stella was actually George's favorite animal in the entire circus? Do you remember whenever George visited Stella, what gift did he carry for Stella in his pocket? No, I will not tell you. You will find that out and tell me. Anyway, do you remember both of them were very attached to Stella and they cry for Stella? Ivan overhears George telling Mac that they were wrong in not calling the vet earlier. So George is feeling guilty. Children, this is so true. If the vet was called in earlier, Stella would have been alive. Sad, but this is the truth. Stella really did not need to die. Children, my heart is so broken that I really don't have the heart to go on with the story, and really, time is also up now. So, on this sad note, I will sign off. But I will end with a very important lesson in life that I learned from here. Remember, children, your kindness towards animals will make their lives not only happier but longer too. So please learn to be kind to everyone around you, humans as well as animals.